Welcome to the Service MVP podcast. And my name is Joe Crisara, America's Service Sales Coach. And we have an exciting guest with me. His name is Ryan Lee from Landscape Lighting Secrets. Ryan, welcome to the program. How you doing today?
Thanks, man. I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Well, it wasn't about a year ago, I think it was, when we first learned that you were kind of like a brother from another mother, and that we have a lot of beliefs that are similar, right?
I know. And I love that your nickname is Uncle Joe because I'm like, you really are my Uncle Joe. So I
Well,
love it. I love
I'm
everything you
America's
do.
America's service uncle, I guess it would be. Uh, Ryan, tell us a little bit about what you do. And yeah, Ryan has a specific niche that he is involved with, and he's trying to make America's front and backyards and sides of the house beautiful in the evening with lighting solutions that make people live their life in a much more high quality way. Ryan, why don't you tell us about how you got involved with this kind of a situation here? Take a few minutes and give us a little background on you.
Yeah, I love it. So I actually got my start in entrepreneurship, probably like everyone else. I was just shoveling walks and I would shovel driveways, things like that. But that wasn't true entrepreneurship. And so when I started my first business, we got into landscape lighting. And so a lot of people are like, well, what's landscape lighting? And that was my question. I was like, I don't even know what this is. But it's, we beautify people's properties, not only their homes, but their landscapings, their outdoor living areas. We really magnify what they've already got and help bring light to their life, right? And so I had a landscape lighting business in Dallas, Texas, from 2007 to 2019. And through that time, it was tough, man. I thought it was going to be so easy. I've got a marketing degree. I got an MBA. I mean, I'm like the total package. And then you start your business and you're like, crap, I don't know anything. And so had the opportunity to fall on my face a lot, learned a lot throughout that process, but I was fortunate enough to exit that business in 2019. And since then, the last 4 or 5 years now, I've been coaching others on how to bolt on landscape lighting to their existing business. And
hmm
it's
hmm
been awesome. It's been really cool.
Well, let's talk about this. Ryan's got three tips to any kind of service business, although it definitely applies to the landscape lighting business. But I think when you're in that business, it's just like another service, like anything else that's out there, whether you're shoveling snow or whether you're doing Christmas lights or just outdoor landscape lights, or even if you're doing heating and cooling or plumbing, the value is value no matter what trade you're in. Ryan, let's go ahead and give us three secrets that you have to your success when you're creating revenue and profit and making sure that you're successful. You want to go ahead and give us your first tip? What's the number one thing that you think is important for people to know, salespeople and service people to know out there?
Yeah, well, first off, let me say this: when I launched this coaching business, Landscape Lighting Secrets, I didn't know I could become a coach. Like I was like,
hmm
who am I? What do I know? I was just
hmm
one guy on one path. There's people that are smarter than me, more successful than me, richer than me, all this stuff. And so one of the things I did was I hired a coach, and I was like, teach me how to do this. And one of the exercises they had me go through, because I was like, what am I going to teach people? Like I don't know how to do this, and it was so powerful. They basically sent me through some exercises to help me extrapolate what it was, what were the things that held me back, what were the things that helped me in business. And now I was able to put together a really cool formula that makes it simple for people to really increase and more than double their profits. So the thing that most businesses don't have enough of is profits. And that's
Yep.
why the majority of businesses fail, right? Or one of the reasons. And so I
Well,
found a way for people to double their profits through my proven formula. And the first thing is really just increasing your price. That's kind of my first secret. And it's like, well, that's not a secret, just raise your price. But we give people, and I'm happy to talk about them today, some of the tools and things that you can use to be able to actually increase your price.
yeah, I think a lot of times people they price themselves out. They try to be a little less money than their current competitors, as opposed to saying, I need to charge enough money to not just for this job, but also to be in business for the future and take care of all the expense that takes place for marketing and advertising and all this stuff. It's all got to be built into the price, right? And I think
Yeah.
the price being higher does challenge you to be better to create value too. I think it does kind of puts into action plan like, wow, with prices this high, I got to learn how to explain it better. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about the pricing and the exercise you take somebody through to increase that price. It's not just randomly, right? Do you have
Right. Yeah.
methodology for that? Tell us about that.
For sure. I mean, I think it's really hard to raise your price if you don't increase value, right? And so, and by the way, I used to be the guy. Like when we started, it was my brother and I was like, wait, those people charge that. Like, we don't need to charge that much. We don't have the overhead that they have. We barely have car insurance, you know? And so we put
Right,
together
right.
numbers and you're like, cool. Like that, I look back, it's so funny because I'm like, that was my pitch. Like that
Hmm.
was my approach. And what's sad is it actually worked to an extent, right? But what I found out, and you hit on it, is like I never could afford to grow. I always wanted to be this future self of this. There was a future version of myself in our company, but all of a sudden I found that I couldn't afford to hire another salesperson. I couldn't afford to fire or hire another technician, someone else in the office. And it's like, well, duh, your value proposition is we're lower on price than anyone else and we don't have their overhead. Well,
Hmm.
if you want to succeed in life, in business, you have to start acting like who you want to be. And when I learned that, it changed everything. I started pricing like who I wanted to be. And suddenly I could afford an office manager. I could afford having more salespeople and an actual team. And what was cool about that is as we did that, a team is much more valuable than an individual. As good as I am at sales or designing or installing lights or whatever the thing is, like I can't be everywhere at once, right? And so
Hmm.
as we grew, we became more valuable to the marketplace. And in return, you can keep charging more money for that.
That's awesome. What's the second tip you've got for us after raising? So once we raise the price, now we know, okay, now we got a much more robust pricing that is going to be able to help us grow in the future. What's the second tip you got, Ryan?
Well, if it's okay, let me hit on the first thing real quick
Oh,
because
sure, good. Yeah, yeah.
I talked about increasing value. There's two ways to increase value. One, you can lower the price. Okay. Don't do it. I tried it. It works temporarily. It might get you out of a bind or help you like pay your next, payroll or mortgage or whatever, but
Yep,
definitely not a
yep.
good long term. So the other way to do it is increase your offer, right? And a lot of people are so afraid of this because their competition's not doing it. And oh, I can't price that. I know what our competition is charging. And my question is, well, do you really trust your competition that much? Like, what do they know that you don't know? Like, are they more qualified? Are they a pricing expert? Because in reality, what's happening is you're pricing your product and your service off of your competition's pricing. And you know how they came up with their price? They got the quote from you, right? And so
Right.
it's
It's like
kind
a
of like
vicious circle, vicious circle.
vicious, vicious, right? And it's like, well,
Hmm.
they think you know what you're doing and you think they know what they're doing. In reality, no one knows what they're doing. So you've got to
Mm.
be the market leader and you got to increase value. And there's lots of different ways to do this. One of the things I like to do is called an offer stack. And so instead of just saying like, oh, okay, here's your landscape lighting, Joe, it's $10,000.
Hmm.
That works, by the way. I've actually done that. And the problem with success is it prevents us from excelling and becoming better because we think we know what we're doing, right? So because
Yep.
that worked for a while, I didn't try to innovate. But then after a while, I started to think, I wonder if I could get better. And an offer stack is something like this. Instead of telling you, Joe, your lighting's $10,000, I'd be like, Joe, the normal pricing for this landscape lighting system is around 14 grand, right? For
Mhm.
you today only, we're going to do it for 10 grand. And in addition to just doing your lighting, we're also going to give you a year's worth of annual maintenance, which is a $750 value. We're going to give you
Mhm.
a 20-year warranty on the lights, which is a $1,500 value. You get that absolutely free. We're going to give you a lifetime warranty on the transformer, which is $500 value, absolutely free. And we've partnered with other local service providers. So we have I noticed you have a pool. We have a pool company that will give you a free 3 months worth of maintenance, which is a $300 value, a free irrigation checkup, $300 value. And you're basically showing them this huge offer stack that's worth $25,000. When they move forward today, they're getting it for just $10,000.
Nice, nice. That makes sense. So make sure that the value exceeds the price as the second tip. Number one, raise the price, but then add enough stuff to the value stack to do that. I know we do that with like warranty services and just other. And I like what you're doing with complementary services with partners that would be happy to do a free full maintenance just to give people have a trial in a way of it. Maybe the
Exactly.
irrigation guy who does all that stuff.
And what's
So
cool about
things that are needed for the yard. You're going to be out there in the yard doing landscape lighting and why don't you look at the irrigation and everything else that's going on, right?
100%, it's something they're going to use anyway, and it doesn't cost you anything. If
Right.
it costs you money, then it's like, well, that's kind of like lowering your price. So the other nice thing about that is when you reach out to people, And let's say in the landscape lighting world, you really want to partner with pool builders, landscape architects, home builders, realtors, everybody who's dealing with high-end people. If you could list them in every single proposal that you do, that's offering value to their business, and they're going to want to return that favor. And so you get them to also include an offering of yours in all of their offers as well. And it's a great way to just really get momentum in your business.
Nice, nice. I guess if you were in the carpet cleaning business, you could add Scotch Guard protection, or extra. You could do other things. I mean, just so many additional things you could do
Yeah,
that in every business, whether it's a maid service, whether it's a landscape lighting service, or a heating and air conditioning. If you're going to sell the air quality, hey, how about the bulbs and the pads and the filter to go with it? We'll include that as well with you. You just ship that with you as well. So,
right. And
so,
and
so
that's
think
the
about
thing.
things that are complementary. It sounds like you're really
Yeah.
explaining there.
And the thing that people that I didn't realize that I still think of people struggle with is people want value. Our clients, our homeowners, they want value. They just because they're asking for a lower price doesn't mean that they're cheap. It doesn't mean that they need a lower price. You just haven't done a good enough job communicating value. And personally, I think you're doing a disservice by not charging a premium price, because then you're going to be tempted to be like, oh, man, this customer's calling me again. Or when you do close the deal at a cheaper price, maybe I'll use cheaper wire. Maybe I'll use cheaper fixtures. Maybe I'll use cheaper connections. I need to make my money. After all, I'm a business owner. I've sacrificed. I got to feed my family. And so then we actually do a disservice to the community by installing inferior product, or not giving that red carpet, white glove experience. So for me, it's easy to come in and raise a price and charge whatever I need to charge to not only hire better talent, but provide better products and service, and then over deliver with that red carpet, white glove experience.
Yeah, I think people get a sense. I think the service provider has a sense of quality themselves, and they believe in it more, right? If you find a more premium solution, like more premium lighting systems or transformers and things like that are more heavy duty, then you, the service provider, start to believe in it. And when you believe in something, what impact does that have, Ryan? When the service provider themselves actually believes that the solution is worth the price?
Well, honestly, that actually ties us in perfectly to the second tip, because belief, man, if you don't have belief, you're probably not going to last very long in this game, right? But once you have belief, as you know, Joe, like that's everything, man. If you don't believe in yourself, how do you expect others to? But once you do and you have that confidence, there's no overcoming objections. Like, people buy from people that they like and trust. And so if you like and trust yourself, they automatically are going to be drawn to that. And it's hard to come up with objections when you believe in yourself that much. So the second tip that I have is, after you've increased your price, and by the way, these are all levers that are really easy to pull. Like, so many people are like, well, how do I get more leads? Or how do I do this? Or how do I do that? It's like, just do this. If you go in this order and raise your price, then you can afford to recruit better talent, right? You can afford to work on your business. You can do these other things, but raise your price. The second one is close deals on the spot. Okay. And a lot of people struggle with this, especially in my world, because the average ticket for landscape lighting is around $8,000 to $10,000. Some of these deals are over six figures, and they really struggle. They're like, well, I don't know. What if I'm wrong here? I got to go back and can I give someone a price that quick? Because when I learned sales, you got to build value and all this stuff. And so they're really afraid to do it. But what do you think, Joe, is the number one thing people want to know when they call someone for a quote? Like, it doesn't matter what home service we're talking about. What's the number one thing people want to know when they call someone for a quote?
What's the price? That's exactly what
What's
they're
the
looking
price?
for.
It's
Yeah,
crazy, right?
and I've seen a lot of people in that space, really every space, who are reluctant to give the price because they're afraid they're going to get blowback, and they're afraid they're going to get if they give them the actual price, especially if it's higher, they don't really believe in the price themselves, so they kind
Yep.
of they even default to email. I guarantee if I called a landscape lighting specialist that wasn't trained by Ryan Lee, that most likely I would be getting an email with the price, and I wouldn't get an explanation of it at all, and I'd be getting it a different day. I wouldn't get it the same day at all. I would say this: there's a certain level of competency that shows people that you've already done this job and that you're a master of this trade. If you can get the price to them right now, does that make sense, Ryan? The
Oh,
competence level, so like perception of competence because of that.
well, exactly. I mean, you're actually the one person that's giving them what they want, because everyone else is afraid to do it. We know they want the price, so why not be different? Why not be the one that's like, hey, in about 45 minutes after we walk your property, I've got a bunch of questions for you. Would it be okay if I, was actually able to give you the price and get you on the schedule for today? That's what people want. So why not give them what they want and be unique? So You got to be able to close deals on the spot. And there's so many things, like you mentioned, most people will take notes, take pictures, they'll email a proposal. People buy on emotion. So how much emotion comes in an email? Zero. It's just a number at that point. And then, by the way, like, what if there are questions? What if there are concerns, which is normal. If someone's
Yep,
never gone,
exactly.
they're going to have questions, which a lot of people think those are objections. They're not. They're just questions or concerns. And when you
Yep.
present that price, hey, Joe, it's going to cost you this much, right? It's 10,000, but remember, it's $25,000 in value. And you're like, well, I don't know. We got to think about it, or we got to get other quotes. It's easy to have a conversation at that point and say, no problem. I totally understand that, right? That's normal. You're human. You're married. You have to talk, right? What is it that you guys need to talk about? And what's cool is when you do that, you'll end up closing more sales than ever because you're willing to ask one extra question that nobody else is willing to ask.
And you could have a conversation about what's in the presentation. It's like, of course, we present premium mid-range economy choices to people. So I could say, you know what, Joe, I understand. Let's think about let's just both admit that top option is too much. Let's get rid of that top one. Look at the more economical one, the second one. And they go, no, I like that top one. Really? What do you like about it? Let's get this. I like the fact that it's got the whole package with the landscaping and everything, irrigation, everything like that. Well, it's a good choice. So what should we do? Back to that again. The what should we do moment, right? But there it is. You got it right there in front of you. The bottom
What
line is
should we
this, though,
do?
guys. The bottom line is that it's just the conversation you're having. I would say it's like a car dealer in Las Vegas. You got to just deal the next card. That card that you had there maybe didn't work, and now you got to just look for another card and see what works. Just keep trying to find the right combination of solutions that works for this client. That rings the bell.
And the closing the deal on the spot is it's so much more effective, number one. But the other thing that it does is it buys you back time in your life and in your business, because for landscape lighting, if I go and I meet with you for an hour, maybe I stay an hour and a half, I'm able to collect a deposit check, get you on the schedule. I mean, we're moving forward. So
Yep.
I've helped myself, but I've also helped you because you're a busy guy. You've probably owned several businesses. You've got to do other quotes for your house. I've just checked off something off your list, and now you don't have to go get 3 other quotes. You don't have to think about anything. I've really done a service for you by helping you make a solid choice. And then from my, selfish standpoint, I also don't have to go back and prepare these lavish emails and proposals, and then you're not going to respond, and then I got to follow up, and I got to leave you all these voicemails and texts. And instead of doing that, I'm calling on new referral partners, and I'm getting relationships with the high-end realtors, the interior designers, and I'm building relationships. I'm building my business instead of doing this crappy follow-up stuff that doesn't even work.
You can spend your time getting the job done or spend your time following up. Definitely, I see that difference. But I will tell you, Ryan, especially in that kind of a business, the landscape lighting business, I would say that unless they had Ryan Lee training them in some kind of way, if they've seen your podcast, even like this podcast will be great if they see it, because I would say there's a 0% chance that somebody would actually make the prices and present them on the same call on the very first call there. This is why I think you're so needed. I think that's why Ryan Lee is needed in this industry, because everybody is so. I mean, seriously, the service provider is reluctant. And I even said, hey, if you just make the prices, I'm ready to move forward. I told people that. And they go, just not comfortable making the prices right now. I'm like, you're not comfortable making the prices? I mean, what does it say when a service provider tries to talk the customer out of moving forward? Because that's really what happens. Literally, what happens is the service provider is reluctant to make the prices. They're not sure if it's accurate. They're not confident in the prices. So they say, I got to go work on this and let me email it to you. They're uncomfortable with the talking to the customer, uncomfortable with making the prices. And that's just two gaps that they have right there. If they solve that gap, they would get number two achieved, I think, selling the spot if they did that. What do you think of
Yeah,
that?
it's true. I mean, that's so that's why I start with these easy things, because like if someone will trust me, and they need to trust me, if they will do this, I can't guarantee that their first visit is going to be a one call close, but I can guarantee they're going to do a lot better than they did without me, right? And if people will try it a few times and not give up, oh, they love it. They're like, oh my gosh, you just saved me like so much time, so much money, and all this stuff. So it's
Right?
definitely the way. You know that, I know that. And we just need to convince people to get outside of their comfort zone. I know it's not easy. I used to not do it too. But it gets easier over time, and you're actually giving people what they want. So unless you hate people, give them what they want.
We don't hate people, but you know what? I would say this: the ability to create a price that's customized and relevant and accurate for each client on the spot is a demonstration of the competency of your mastery of your trade, whatever it is. Because if you are like, here's the problems we got, here's what you're experiencing. You need to get this reason why you need this. Number two, I don't have a solution for you. It kind of shows me that a person's hesitant to manage the solution part of the project. How am I supposed to trust this guy that he's going to be able to actually get the work done if he can't even manage the pricing? Does that make sense, sir?
Well said. It's funny. I used to tell people, let's say, even though I'm like, close on the spot, close on the spot. I'm not perfect, guys. Sometimes I screw up and I'm like, wait, what am I doing? I'm at my house. Why didn't I close that person? And maybe I tried, but you're not going to be 100%. And so I'd have people I'd follow up with, hey, yeah, we're just got one more quote coming in. I'm like, okay, let me ask you something. We've been going back and forth for 2 weeks. I gave you my price in person 2 weeks ago. How long are you willing to wait on someone who's promised you something, who has not delivered, and they don't have any of your money yet, by the way?
Right,
Once they
right.
do have your money, how long do you think it's going to take for them to answer one of your phone calls?
Yeah.
And they
I
would
mean,
almost always go, you're right, let's go.
yeah, I'm trying to get like you're trying to give them money and they're making you wait 2 weeks for the price. What's going to happen when they're not getting money? And yeah,
Yep.
that's a good point there. Let's go to number three. We're kind of running a little short of time here. Let's go to three, which is what's the third item you think would be towards success for any service provider they could do? So sell it on the spot. Make sure you get the competency to make the prices. Raise the price. Number one. Number two.
Yep.
Make sure you get the Now, what's number three, Ryan?
Third and final is high quality leads. Uh, these first two can be very easy or very difficult. And it's very easy if you're in front of the right person. And so if you're just trying to run some like cheap Facebook ads or something like that for landscape lighting, at least, every industry is different.
Yeah, yeah.
And you expect to be able to go charge a premium price and close the deal on the spot, and they just saw your Facebook ad and they have no idea what landscape lighting is, and they're not even interested. They just saw a cool picture. You're
Mhm.
probably not going to be able to get that same effect. And so
Get it.
if I can help you get high quality leads from people who already want what you have, these other things become a no-brainer. So it's really the three that make that magic formula. And
So
in order to
so
get,
you're saying the fish in a pond where the fish are bigger, not a pond with minnows in
that's
it.
right.
Trying to get the pond with the bigger fish in the pond, right?
Well, yeah, and I've even fished in streams and lakes that don't have any fish,
Mm,
so that's super frustrating. So definitely find the lakes, find the ponds, find the streams where you're going to pull out the monsters if that's what you're going for, right? And in landscape lighting, we don't have like a cheap, $500 option. So
mhm.
why would we waste any time marketing to or talking to those people? Maybe they go into an email sequence or something like that where we build them up, so when they are ready 5 years from now or something like that, that's okay. But you really don't want to meet with someone in person until they're pre-qualified and you know that you've got a high probability of closing that deal on the spot at a premium price.
Any tips on that fishing in that right pond or getting the right leads? Because I think everybody would say they agree with this. Any pro tips you can give us that off the record
Yeah.
that can help us to find those right customers? What do you think?
Absolutely. So, and we take people through all of these things. So we give them all the tools, all the downloads, all the scripts, and everything for all three of these in our coaching
Mhm.
program. But the ideas is what we're talking about. So the way to get high quality leads is through referral partners. It's all through relationships. So if even if you go onto Google, let's say you do a Google ad and you target landscape lighting installer near me. Okay, that's a good lead, but you don't know, is that going to be a $5,000 job, a $100,000 job? You don't know any of that, right?
Right,
But if
right.
someone is building a house and they're paying an integrator, which is a home automation expert, if they're
Mhm.
paying $300,000 to put Lutron and smart controls and all this stuff in their house, to me, that's a pretty qualified buyer, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it speaks to someone who values high quality products and services, right? And so if
Yep.
I can get a lead from that person, I'm much more likely to be able to close on the spot at a premium price. So we go after landscape architects, home builders, pool builders, realtors, interior designers. Even though we're doing exterior lighting,
Yeah,
those
yeah.
interior designers, but the first time I had this experience, I'm sitting there talking to the interior designer and the homeowner. I'm looking at the homeowner, the client, asking questions, interior designers answering. And I pick up pretty quickly, like, hold on, they hold the wallet, they hold the checkbook, and you
Right.
don't even talk to the client at that point because they've given them full reign. So it's all about relationships, and those people are amazing because when you go and meet with them, they're not looking to get quotes. You think they want more strangers in their house? No,
Yeah.
they're going to move forward with you because you were referred by that person that's already well respected and trusted.
Yeah. So in a way, you got this kind of a bolt-on kind of a service that you're offering that fits well with a different service, that like
Yeah,
automation or that kind of or exterior or landscaping. I'm sure there's a lot of landscapers who don't want to do lighting. They just want to
yep,
do the landscaping and that's it. If you find a partner who would like to add that to the portfolio and maybe you make a reward system for allowing that to happen, right? Is that a factor
we
where if
do.
something happens good out of it type of a thing, you can give them a reward system for that?
Absolutely. So depending on where your business is at, if you're in growth mode or, if you're new or whatever, when I started my business, we were spending a little over 15% of our revenue on advertising. And so it was a no-brainer for me to say, well, wait a minute, this isn't just a marketing campaign that might bring me in leads. When you get these types of deals, you're paying that referral commission that I would pay
Hmm.
10% it as a thank you. It wasn't like, here's 10%, I hope this works out, which that's kind of what other marketing is. This is a thank you. And so we paid 10% of total contract value. And again, if your job is $100,000 deal, that referral partner is getting $10,000 simply for providing a text with someone's name
Amazing.
and phone number on there. It's crazy.
I mean, there's got to be a marketing expense. Might as well I mean, I call that guaranteed marketing. Most
Yeah.
marketing, you throw dollars at the wall and hope it sticks. This
Yeah.
is you're getting actual lead from an actual lead, not from throwing it at the money mailer and hoping somebody calls you, which is the opposite of what you're talking about. You're talking about a concentrated lead that's been booked with your company. Why not pay the 10% of the revenue? Because that's guaranteed lead there, not something that we just throw at the newspaper and see if people call us or whatever kind of a thing.
Yeah.
That's
And
it's brilliant there, Ryan. Man, you've already given people here enough time and information to make themselves successful already, and that's what you're in. You're in that landscape lighting secrets. So thanks for your secret. Those are three great. You probably gave us like 5 or 6 secrets. You realize that
there's
you,
sub
you your
secrets.
your value stack was pretty high on this podcast, right, Ryan?
Lead
But
with
you can't
value.
you
You
can't
know
help
that.
you can't help yourself. You're always trying to create value. Ryan, how do people learn about Ryan Lee and landscape lighting secrets? And you never know, you might be an electrical business who wants to do outdoor lighting. You might be a landscaping business. You might be just a home service business that
Yeah.
can see the unique opportunity here. When Ryan's throwing out numbers like 8 to 10,000, you know that if you're a service business, that's profit that you can make there. Ryan, how do people get a hold of you, and what do they do to get involved with your service?
Sure thing. And by the way, thanks again for having me on here, Joe. I truly look up to you. I got this gift in the mail, you guys. It was so cool. This was 2 days ago. I've been gone every single week, and I got home. I think this was here for a couple weeks, but I opened this on Monday, so I have not read it yet. But I was shocked. It felt so good. I was like, holy cow! So I'm looking forward to reading What Should We Do. Joe, you came and did a training for us in our coaching program, and I thank you for that. My program, if you just go to landscapelightingsecrets.com, there's a lot of helpful information there. We've got some obviously value that we give away for free. But if you want to schedule an appointment with me or one of my team members, you can watch a free case study. Watch that. If that interests you and you're like, heck yeah, this might be a really cool bolt on for my business, schedule a call. We go over a strategy session, and that strategy session is designed to help you really get an understanding of where you're at, where you want to be. And it sounds simple, but most people don't know those answers, right? And so we really give a lot of value on that call. But if you're interested, we can tell you about the coaching program. I also have my podcast, which Joe, you've been on, Lighting for Profits. You can go to lightingforprofits.com, and it's awesome. I mean, if you're considering like maybe I should do this, and even if you're not, I mean, when you were on, we weren't, well, we actually did talk about landscape lighting because you got lighting at your house, but
I
most of
love it.
our
Yeah,
guests,
I'm a consumer of your services for
yeah,
sure,
yeah.
and I'm having to redo it. So I might need somebody right now actually. So
All right.
you
We'll
never know.
get
We
you
just
hooked
tore it
up.
out. We just tore all the old stuff out because it was garbage, and we bought a house with it, and it was kind of garbage. So we might maybe in the market for somebody, one of your professionals. Let's see how good he does when he comes
I
on. Just
know.
quote me on
I
the
wonder,
spot, right?
dude, they're going to be so intimidated to come meet with you. It's going to be
Oh,
awesome. I should film it.
probably, but I'll help them. You don't realize I'll actually help them provide a good solution. But Ryan, thanks so much for being here and helping all the service providers out there, no matter what trade. I think Ryan Lee has something there with his enthusiasm and simplicity of the material, he tries to make the complex into something simple. Ryan, thanks so much for your service, and mostly thanks for your friendship. I knew I knew I was going to meet a colleague. I didn't know I was going to meet a new friend when I first met you, though.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate that.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great one. We'll see everybody on the next podcast.